I came back with a lot of scars, on my body, on my face,
Wow.
and they can just literally destroy you without touching you. Yeah, I was crying, not gonna lie, I was crying like a baby. I seen attempts of suicide. I seen the people eating, those, let's say, bucket of water that what they call chlorine, that they clean the floors. They were eating those like pills. There's probably something as a memory that sits with me, is making someone weaker doing it for me. I'm having PTSD not because of like guns and explosions and like beatings. I have PTSD from doing this thing to another human being.
Anyone pretty much stripped out of their family's home and thrown into that environment, it's an alpha, it's a dominant environment, and you have to pretty much fight for your life.
I'm not sure what was that because I was paralyzed. My jaw was numb. I couldn't feel my hands. And I felt like all my organs inside, like it was when you get in like this type of stroke.
Maybe you needed some social distancing.
Yeah, people was like peeing themselves. Nobody was helping. And they don't worry about the person laying on the floor, vomiting through her COVID mask, but they worried about how the floor is dirty. It just put so much anger in me. Just like that's the free healthcare.
Canadian healthcare. Yeah. Highly recommended.
Once I changed my diet, all these things were gone within months. And it was like a miracle, Most of the people, they're pre-diabetic, they don't even know that.
And would you consider yourself a free man today? Thank you and welcome back to another episode of Finding Freedom. My next guest has a very fascinating backstory. He's a former Russian soldier who did 1 year in a correctional camp, which is nowadays known as military prison. He is a true carnivore in every sense of the word. The Wi-Fi signals get stronger in every room he walks into. And he taught Chuck Norris the roundhouse kick. Thank you, Isah, for joining me.
That was a proper introduction, man. I love it.
It's true, isn't it? It is true.
Yeah, partially.
We can verify that.
Yeah.
I think I myself would love to know, and everybody watching and listening would love to know, what's your story with the military? How was it in the Russian military? How did you even end up there? What's the whole process?
So just to give a little backstory, in Russia, the military services, they mandatory. So once you turn 18, you have to join the forces. Mm-hmm. Just every man basically in Russia has to go. And the only way you can avoid it is when you're in a university. So you have to finish the education, and after that you have to do 1 year. Back in days it was 2 years, so now is it 1 year. So what happened in my case, I was studying mechanical engineering in university, and I ended up, they kicked me out in the second for.
You're a troublemaker.
Yeah. It was some issues with personal life, so I couldn't keep up with education. I got kicked out. So when you get kicked out from school, you losing your protection from military service. Mm-hmm. So at those times, I didn't know the situation in terms of like law very well. So I asked someone to make the papers basically for me so I can finish the education. And faking those papers is a federal crime. So it's
that's the true Russian way, isn't it?
So once the military services, they found out, they got me, I had to go to the place where, for let's put it that way. If you're a cop, let's say, I'm not sure in US and
I'm not a
the
cop.
Same,
I promise.
If you're a cop, and if you do the crime, you don't go to the same prison like with everybody. There's a special facilities for cops, let's say. So there's the same idea for people who committed like military crime. They don't. It's a separate facility. Mm-hmm. So it's just the soldiers. You're still doing the work. You just don't wear the patches, basically.
What was the nature of the crime? Was your crime that you falsified documents? Was that what got you into the correctional facility?
It was just my intention was pure, just so I can finish the education. But in the end of the day, when they got me there, they start looking for all the people who, it's the distribution center. When first month or 2 months, you're doing the basic training. That's for everybody. And then after 1 month, they distribute you, like you want to become a cook, you want to become a driver, you want to become a gunman, whatever, like they send you to those different places. So from 200 people, they took 8, and I was among them.
You
And
were one of the chosen few.
Yes, sir. And all
It's a
this
badge of honor.
all these homies, they were weird as hell. So like I looked at them and I'm like, what? Why they put me together with those people? Like people who, I don't know, they fought this. Let's say they got into a fight with the captain or sergeant, another person. Let's say he was like illegally, I don't know, stealing like something from like bullets, selling bullets on the side or something like this. Another person, let's say, got caught with drugs during his service. You know, so it's all this type of people that were around me, you know.
Okay.
And for me, it's just because what I did in the past, it was connected to the military services. It just happened that they just put me in this list.
Okay,
You
so
know?
you were on the naughty list from day one. Okay, that's pretty interesting. And seeing all of these true troublemakers, I mean, were some of them gangsters? Were they affiliated with these types of, you know, were they part of some Russian mafia? How intense were these people?
Yeah, it was like when they pick these 8 people, and when they bring us to the place, it was maybe 90 people in total. So in this, it was a camp in the middle of nowhere. It's just all you see is just forest, mountains. It's a camp. There's no even like electricity there. To heat up the place during the winter time, they still have people in the basement putting charcoal in a fire. Like it's no joke. Like yeah, even if there's no heat, basically it's just like a wooden camp, wooden house in the middle of nowhere in the forest. And yeah, you have animals like rabbits. So let's say for the food and everything, you have a cow that gives milk. So there's a person who's looking after the farm. Yeah.
I'm sure that experience toughened you up. I mean, anyone pretty much stripped out of their family's home and thrown into that environment, it's an alpha, you know, it's a dominant environment, and you have to pretty much fight for your life. It's survival of the fittest. So how did you manage? I mean, how quickly did you grow? How quickly did you mature?
I would say this place changed me a lot in a good way, you know, because yeah, when I was on my train, it's from Moscow, it takes 2 days on the train to get there. So yeah, I was crying, not gonna lie. I was crying like a baby, but I was mostly...
Were you 17 years old pretty much? 17,
no,
18?
I was 20-year-old, because like for 2 years, when I turned 18, for 2 years, I was running from the services, trying to finish my education. So when I got there, I was pretty much older than everyone by 2 years.
Wow, okay.
So it was a lot of crazy teenagers there, like 18, 19-year-olds. And I think the oldest person who was there was 26. I don't know how he made it that far.
Wow.
You know? So,
okay. So, and was he considered the older brother? I mean, how did the dynamic between the guys work? Were you like considered brothers?
So over there, the people who came together, they from the same year, let's say, and people who was there, let's say before, they already did their time for like 1 year, or some people even 2 years. Let's say somebody was before, not a person who went there like under mandatory thing, but let's say he was a contractor. He was
it was voluntary.
It was his job, right? He was doing this job, and then he slipped somewhere. He did something, like, I don't know, showed up drunk or something, and they give him time. So after you're doing this time, you have to finish your contract after that. So
like community service to some point.
So this time in military prison, it's not included in your service time. So let's say you slipped, you did something, they give you sentence, let's say 1 year, 2 years. And after that, you have to go back to the base and finish your military service that you own. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah. So,
but how long was the total duration of you being in the correctional facility?
1 year. So
1 year.
It's been straight from after the basic training. After 2 months, it was another year.
I can only imagine. I mean, being in that environment, most people can't even last a week, let alone a year. So how would you compare that correctional facility to something like a prison, or how brutal was it? Could you give us just a bit of an idea?
I would say it's like a very similar, just you wearing the uniform, and it's more organized in terms of there's more rules. There's always somebody watching you. If like in prison, I'm not sure, like I guess depends on the prison, depends which country, where you can, I don't know, lay down in a cell and just do nothing or just sit in a cell. There's in military prison, there's nothing. You're always working, you're always on the move. You can't walk. Like walking, just like slowly walking is like illegal. All the movements is you running, basically, even in the toilet.
Burning a lot of calories.
Yeah.
You must have been ripped when you got out, hey?
Pretty much. I was very skinny, and the climate there is crazy. So because it's so humid, it's Ural Mountains. It's like a very cold part of Russia. So it's summertime, it's very humid. So if you have a little cut from works or whatever, it can heal for like 6 months, 7 months. It's just not healing. It's always wet.
My God.
So yeah, I came back with a lot of scars, on my body, on my face, and just all wrapped with
You said cold part of Russia, but I mean, isn't all of Russia cold?
No, it's not. Like South Russia.
That's what I think.
Yeah, a lot of people think Russia is very cold. Trust me, Ottawa is way worse than Moscow. Like I never
wouldn't
seen
debate
freezing
that,
rain in the past. Like freezing rain when I'm like, what is this? And people, aren't you Russian? Aren't you know? If I'm like, I never seen freezing rain before.
I don't doubt that. I mean, it feels like the North Pole half the time. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting dichotomy.
Yeah.
But I'd like to go back to that point and your state of mind when you were thrown into the correctional facility. Did you know ahead of time, okay, I'm going to be in here for a year? And how did you process that?
So over there, it's you just basically stuck in your thoughts. It's like a lot of people, they trying to read, but at this facility, you can't have basically books. You can only go to library. There's very limited of what you can have on you. So there's just literally a few things, like toothbrush. I don't even remember the whole thing, but like a soap.
Any toothpaste?
A soap. Toothpaste is like given, but you can. Yeah. So because they check even the letters. So phones are illegal. No visits. Like you can visit your family.
No phone calls.
Your family can visit you. Phones are illegal. If they find the phone, they happened to me. They found the phone. They put me in the front of everybody. They put the phone and they give me a hammer, and they broke my phone in the front of everybody with the hammer. Myself.
Oh my God.
So they make you do it just to show everybody that let's say you can't have a phone.
And if you refuse, what happens?
Is the system built that way that they can just literally destroy you without touching you. You know what I mean? So it's just it's a lot of
mental warfare.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, but yeah, you learn a lot from places like this of how they can manipulate you and put fear in you without even just beating you or anything like this, And I've seen people that you can see on the street, like a big guy, muscles and everything. And I seen those guys like crying like babies. And I see small guys that just like, you can see, okay, they've been more strong than, so size doesn't matter in army, you know what I mean? It's just like you've seen guys giving up, crying, having mental breakdowns. I've seen attempts of suicide. I've seen the people eating, those, let's say, bucket of water that what they call chlorine, that they clean the floors. They were eating those like pills just so they can get sent to hospital. And I've been sent to hospital once. And over
Do you mind me asking why you were sent?
So yeah, I basically faked it. I faked I said I don't feel well, but there was consequences after that because they don't like guys who's doing it. They understand why we're doing it because we're trying to escape.
It's an escape.
You know what I mean? So when they put me to the city called Yekaterinburg, it was like the hospital there for military hospital also. So I've been there for 2 weeks. On the way back, they were moving me with the truck, with the security and everything. And I saw the captain, our administration captain from the base in the car. So he stopped the truck with me and he rolled down the window and he asked who's there. They said, it's me. And he said, okay, I'm coming tomorrow I wanted to see all the toilets clean. And when I mean toilets, don't picture toilets like nice and clean. In the forest and the field conditions, it's basically holes on the floor, right? And it's like a wooden house kind of thing. And basically, when it's full, they send the person there with a bucket and you have to clean it. So it's like you literally go in there and clean it. In winter time, when it's all this thing frozen, you have to break it with a hammer or something, collect it with your hands in the bucket and clean it. So he said, there's like 6 holes in there. I'm coming tomorrow. It's clean, right? So for me, if I will do it myself with my own hands, I'm gonna lose my status, my respect, right? And I will live like an animal till the end of the year. So for me, there's probably something as a memory that sits with me is making someone weaker doing it for me. And for me, it's a bad thing to do, and you feel guilty after that. But over there, army, prison, it's just a survival.
Respect is the currency,
you or
right?
someone else. So, but I'm having PTS not because of like guns and explosions and like beatings. I have PTS from doing this thing to another human being. You know what I mean?
Wow. PTSD is a very real thing, and it's a very serious topic. I mean, once you're exposed to certain scenarios, you cannot unsee them. It truly does change you as a human being. It does change the structure of your brain. I'm sure we could have talked to some of our guests previously, and they would confirm that your brain literally changes when you're exposed to these types of scenarios. So it's a lifelong journey to try to distance yourself from that. And I'm sure there is hope. It's a constant battle, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. And it's a process.
Yeah.
And those were dark times, I'm sure. But I'm glad that you're here with us today. You're able to talk about it, because I'm sure many people don't even survive that. And for one reason or another, they no longer continue, right? So it's great that you're here. You're able to share the journey. And I do know that you went through an entire health transformation. And are you able to shed the light on, how you went from that life, and then there was a transformative moment in your own life, and you're a new person, or would you say you're enlightened? You found an awakening of some kind?
Yeah, like after army, it's been tough in terms of health. I came back, all sick, chronic illnesses, PTS. It's been hard to kind of put yourself together. Even just simple thing like crossing the road was like stressful for me because of the cars and people. Imagine all you see during the whole year is just like trees and same 9 people, Yeah. So dressed all the same. So for me, just seeing different people and different clothing, it was just like stressful just being around people, So I end up being in some type of like depression. So I start just eating a lot, and I had some type of like eating disorder, and it lasted for like a couple of years. And then I decided basically to move to US. I had a family there just to start new life.
Was it easy to transition and go to the US from Russia?
So I already had the green card since I'm 14. So because my family, like my mom, she's American, and I was since I'm a kid, I was traveling between US and Russia back and forth every half year, and then I decided to go there for good, just start new life. So I put all my furniture on sale, got rid of everything, got a ticket, and it happened very fast. I just like that, I decided to change my life.
So you said green card. So if anybody from the CIA watching, it's all legal.
No.
Documented, 100%.
No. If it would be something illegal in my life, I wouldn't be here, showing my face to everybody.
Of course.
Everything is legal, and it's just American lifestyle is different, food is different. So, like, it was period of time with all this depression and everything. I was eating a lot of junk food, and I went through robbery, and was some situation where like I lost a lot of money, and I
So
lost.
somebody stole.
Yes, I lost
From
a
you.
lot of money when I came, and it was the time when I'm supposed to get married too.
Oh,
you know?
wow.
So I married my wife anyway. Been completely, broke. I thank God, happily married for almost 10 years now.
Amazing.
And it just I never paid attention to like nutrition much. When you're young, you feel like you feel those
Invincible.
things when you get older, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it happened that I was hospitalized and with a pre-stroke condition. Just
Wow.
like one day, I was. It was like during COVID. All this COVID, all these things just like add on top of what I had. COVID, a lot of people got into this depression. There's no work. You're sitting at home, and just no movements. Getting bigger. So for me, it was all the effect of kind of post-COVID times.
So do you think if you had a better diet prior to that, do you think it would have helped you avoid reaching the point where you had to be hospitalized?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's all connected. Like the diet, the mental state, the whole country was, what happened. I was depressed, and
This was in the States or
no, it
over
was
here?
already in
It was
Canada.
here.
Yeah. I moved to Canada in 2016. So
Okay.
So my wife, she's from there. So we decided to live there. We didn't like it. We decided to start a family here. In Canada, Ottawa, a little bit more peaceful and quiet.
Living the Canadian dream.
Yeah, and the Canadian dream, when I had my first experience with Canadian healthcare. And,
I'd love to know about that.
Yeah,
Please.
and
Please do tell.
And that's, I guess, where my health journey started, because I realized there's no one really to help you here, because imagine when they came with a what they call it, ambulance. They put this in my hand.
The IV?
Yes, and the machine didn't work. And
Or are you talking about the blood pressure?
I'm not sure what was that, because I was paralyzed. My jaw
Okay.
was numb. I couldn't feel my hands.
Okay.
And I felt like all my organs inside, like it was when you get in like this type of stroke, your body get numb. Yeah, and I was kind of passing out. And the only thing I remember, they were putting mask on my face to get me into hospital.
Did they tell you to
At this moment, all I needed is just some oxygen, but they say
maybe you needed some social distancing?
Yeah, so they wanted to put some mask on my face, and the machine didn't work, so that's why they rushed to the hospital. And I'm a type of person, like I hate weakness, I hate complaining, and if you ask me how are you, I always say good, even if I'm dying. I'm good. Like I'll go through it. But I realized, if you get into hospital, you have to exaggerate, or they're gonna put you in a line for like 12 hours.
Is that what happened with you?
Yeah. So basically, what happened to me, I've been in. They put me in a chair for like 8 hours, and only after 8 hours they give me a room. And the room was so cold, no blanket. I was just sitting there. It was just terrible experience, and at this point I wanted to go home. I already got well, and while I was waiting in the main room, I saw all kind of things. Like people was like peeing themselves, nobody was helping. Like some lady fell on the floor, she started like vomiting all over, and the nurses, they're like, oh, where's the broom? Let's just clean. They don't worry about the person laying on the floor vomiting through her COVID mask, but they worried about how the floor is dirty, So for me, it just put so much anger in me. Just like, that's the free healthcare, And then you get in those emails, new doctor, new health center taking new patients, and then you're like, okay, I'll be the first one. You emailing them, and they say, okay, your appointment is in 7 months. You know what I mean? It's just. I don't know. I know back home, like Russia, if you consider it like a third world country in terms of all these things, but it's everything, like all these things is like free and instant, and you actually getting help, So of course it depends on the city and everything, you know. There's some villages, maybe some doctors can show up drunk and something, you know. But it happened to
Maybe
me
a
in the
cigarette in
past.
their hand.
Yeah, you never know. She knows.
Canadian healthcare.
Yeah.
Highly recommended.
So after that, I just decided to help myself because I realized there's nobody else can help me, you know. And if I'm getting really sick, I know they're not gonna save me, you know. So I started doing my research on health, and you know, and me being from the family of doctors, my mom is a doctor, my grandma is a doctor, my
Really?
father is a doctor. He was in neurology, and my mom, she was working with also with military. She was helping those, let's say, cops who got shot, like how you call it,
Wounded,
like the
physiotherapy.
physiotherapy. They were helping them to walk again. She also was working with kids, helping kids to, you know, with have problems with the motoric system to
Oh yeah.
to walk. So I was kind of, I always knew a lot about, like, you know, health. Like my mom always like gave me good food and everything, you know. It just, so when I started learning about all diets and all the foods and start doing my research, I just found something big, and I truly believe there's some type of collaboration between pharma and food industry. And I don't want to say it's like a conspiracy because I don't know what's going on. Are they, like your previous question was, if they want to poison us, maybe, but same time, I feel like it's a money maker, and that's the main thing. Definitely makes money.
Absolutely. And I don't know if this is controversial to say. It's like we all know the traditional example of a dentist who opens a candy shop, and then he has, you know, they're going back and forth between the two. And it's really sad to see that we live in a world where we can't even speak about that freely or even criticize it in any way. And that begs the question, once again, do we truly live in a free society? Guess we'll never know. But it was interesting seeing how you were exposed to the medical system right off the bat, and you saw how dangerous it could be. And you paid a price. Is it fair to say you paid a price with your health?
Yes, 100%.
So what was the point that made you make that shift and then go into, I believe you adopted the carnivore diet. So what were you experiencing before, and what are you experiencing right now?
So before, I had a lot of chronic illnesses such as sleep apnea, like psoriasis, eczema. I had hormonal imbalance, and it was hard for me to, like I would say, let's say libido problems, okay? Like all those like things, like my wife can't get pregnant for a long time. So I feel like it's all connected. And once I changed my diet, all these things were gone within months. And it was like a miracle, you know? I discovered something. So carnivore diet, I would say it was like an elimination diet, because usually like meats and proteins is product
quite restrictive.
Not many people have allergies on those things. So I just trying to figure out what triggers my like my reaction, my inflammation, my brain fog, all these things, my allergies, you know. And that's why I decided to do elimination diet. Start making my research about like how I can survive with eating less. And I found out this lot of positive feedback about carnivore diet. And I know there's a lot of influencers online that you know, like Liver King or other guys, they kind of show this something hardcore, something crazy. For me, being on animal products is something natural. You know, it's been like this for centuries. People were hunters and gatherers. So they were eating a lot of protein, a lot of meat, a lot of fish, a lot of eggs, a lot of dairy. And when it's season, they gather seasonal berries and fruits. So I had some fruits also. So I would say it's not strict carnivore diet. It's an animal-based diet, what they call these days. So, and even in our religion, in Islam, if you look into our sources of how people in desert and ate it, mostly their diet was natural human diet, which is animals and fruits. And when I say fruits, it's not just sweet fruits. I'm talking about botanical fruits. Botanical fruits, we can include cucumber, because botanically speaking, it's a fruit. Zucchini, squash, pumpkin. Botanically speaking, it's all fruits. So when I say like meats and fruits, I don't mean just oranges and like beef, you know. So it's a pretty there's a lot of options in this diet. But
there's a lot of variety.
But what's most important is what you don't eat. So you have to, like we discussed earlier, the sugars, all the processed sugars. There's a lot of processed foods on the shelves, and sometimes when they market it as something healthy, you look in the ingredient list, it's 5 mile long, you know. Bread, let's say bread, supposed to be sourdough bread. Couple ingredients, spring water, like flour and sea salt or salt, right? But you check the ingredient list of the breads in stores, and it got all the vegetable oils, sugars, canola. You know, for me, coming from like Eastern Europe, if I try this like local Canadian bread, you know, this like very spongy, soft bread, I feel like it's like a cake that you give with tea, you know, it's so sweet. So for me, like, and people eat it on a daily basis. You know, the daily dose of sugar for adult is 6 grams, and we eat way more than that. For example, 1 can of Coke, right? Like, let's say people who drink soda or energy drinks. Like the other day, I was researching the ingredients of what is called the Rockstar. You know, the Rockstar energy drink. How many grams of sugar there? It's like 36 grams of sugar. Do you know how many grams in 1 spoon? 1 teaspoon is 4 grams. So 36 grams. It's almost how many spoons you drink 1 can. It's equal that you ate like almost 15 spoons of sugar, right?
A lot of spoons.
And it's some people have 2. You know, it's most of the people, they pre-diabetic, they don't even know that, because when you're diabetic, it's when it's too late. It doesn't happen overnight. It's something that accumulates. Same as cancer, same as dementia, same as Alzheimer's. It's all sugar.
They could all be tied back to diet, to sugar and things 100%. That we put in our body willfully. But going back to how you felt, you described a little bit about how you felt physically. But how do you feel, and how do you compare yourself these days, mentally, emotionally? You said you were in a dark place before. How are you right now after making all of these changes?
What I noticed the most is the mental clarity. So I don't have this brain fog, and the energy. And the energy is basically, that's your life, right? You need energy, and you want to take as much, like one day it's 24 hours, right? You don't want to spend in this day sleeping or like, you know, being tired.
All you got is time and energy,
you need energy to use all this time to have fun, to enjoy life, to be productive, to do things, you know. And for me, the energy is through the roof. I waking up in the morning, I do 7 a.m. run, then I'm opening my store. I'm doing my full shift, 8 hours. After my shift, I go to the gym. I box with the guys who like 20 years younger than me. And then after that,
you train them, don't you?
Yes, we started a new project for men's empowerment. So
what's it called?
So it's called Keen. You can check on Instagram, keen.ca, or my website is withthekeen.com. And we're trying to build better men, better husbands, better fathers. And for me, I started it for myself because I just tired of men's weakness, lack of masculinity, and I'm trying to find a good group of people who support each other, who share the same values, want to create family, want to be like better fathers, stronger men, you know, build the community, build the society. So, and I did it, you know. I have a lot of guys that, you know, I can call in 5 minutes to see 30 people outside. They're very supportive, and we network, we do business, we train together. The gym has a big door, garage door in the back, so sometimes we open it, we can do some barbecue together. So it's not just sport. We're doing it through sports, but the idea is to bond, to support each other. So it's all about just empowerment.
There's a lot of power in community. And when you have like-minded people dedicated towards a single goal, to whether it's self-improvement, you know, empowering each other, mentally growing. There's a lot of power in that. And humans were not meant to be in isolation.
Exactly. And you see what we discussed earlier, what they want, what they do when they want to destroy you. They put you in a cell and you alone with nobody around. That's what breaks you, right? So that's the worst thing, to be alone. No friends, no community.
That's why isolation is the ultimate punishment. And they've done so many studies, whether it's on humans, we've seen it, or whether it's on rats, animals, whatever the case may be. And we've seen it across the past few years and what isolation does, whether it's to young children or adolescents or even grown families, men and women. But that's also, we could go into that tangent and talk about it pretty deeply, but I'm sure we could talk about that another day. There's a true transformation that you probably witnessed within yourself and the people around you saw within you. I would ask you, what would you give if you saw the teenage version in front of you? If you're in a dark place, what's the first thing to start with? Is it diet? Is it people around you? Is it exercise? Is it all of it?
I would say the main thing is who you surround yourself with. Because, just recent example that I had some teenagers come to my store and I see they just bumming around doing nothing. So I give them a little lecture like, hey guys, you can come up with something instead of just like walking in the mall, like doing nothing, and I see those kids, I know those gangsters, from Bayshore, where they come, it's plus 40, they come in a hood and a mask in the mall, you know what they're doing there, right? But I try to give a little inspiration for them and say, hey, you guys are actually better than this, there's a lot of ways to make money, you can come up together, do something. They say yes, 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 and they left. And then 5 minutes later, I see security running them. One has 2 boxes with New Balance shoes. You know what I mean? It's all who you surround yourself with. If you have all this influence from modern music, Hollywood, they portray the gangster, all this culture. Come to my gym, we'll show you the real gangster. Put the gloves on. You do not. You're nothing.
Let's see how gangster you really are.
Exactly. So you need the good people around you who are going to tell you that it's all just illusion of freedom. That's why, the trap music, that's why it's called trap. They call trap for a reason. They have money, they have cars, but they trapped in this neighborhood. They can't travel, they can't open business. They, you know what I mean? It's just the illusion of freedom and wealth. All this. So I try to my main message is just start with your surrounding, mindset, and definitely just be healthy, because if you drinking, if you smoking, it's all accumulates. Maybe you don't feel it when you're young, but in a couple of years, you start feeling.
I do want to end on this, and if you look at the timeline of your life, you've been through ups and downs. There was a point where freedom was so far away from you. You were in an environment which was the exact opposite of freedom. You were in a cage, pretty much. You were in isolation. And now, as you think about your entire journey, what does freedom mean to you? And would you consider yourself a free man today?
Just because of my mindset, I always been free. You can be free in the cage too, and freedom is something that what's most important is how would you say it? What frames that freedom? Because some people can be not free, but they think they're free, right?
Is it like the context surrounding it?
Yeah, because it's something that freedom, it's the society, the cultural maybe norms is shaping it. It's like asking the question about morals, right? What's good, what's bad. Some people take morals from religion, right? Some people take morals from feelings, which I don't agree with, right? So let's say what's good and bad. Oh, it's good because I feel that way, or it's bad because I feel that way, right? But in reality, truth it's subjective. Truth is facts, and truth based on facts, right? So if there's for freedom, if we say, oh, I'm free, I want to do everything I want, right? It can become anarchy. And anarchy is something that opposite of freedom, right? It's just there's no structure. So it depends how you
frame it.
you frame it, right? In my case, I define freedom the way God defines it. Like, I'm a practicing Muslim, and for me, whatever God gives me freedom, you know, if I'm not drinking and I'm not smoking, my Creator doesn't want me to do it, I'm still free. And it's not like I do what I want as long as, that's the liberal concept. I can do whatever I want as long as I don't harm anyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm saying you shouldn't base your morals on feelings.
Mm-hmm.
It should be based on, you know, in my case, I'm not saying like you should or shouldn't, but in my case, I take my morals from my holy scripture, because there's no logical explanation in this life what's good and bad, right?
Freedom.
Because what's good for me can be bad for you, or what's bad for you can be good for me. So it's a philosophical question, and I hate philosophy.
It's definitely open to interpretation, and that's the beauty of it. I mean, everybody has their own definition, and that's why I like to end my episodes with that question. It's a powerful one. It makes you confront yourself and dive deep, and maybe even confront your own misconceptions about life. And I urge everyone to find their own definition of freedom. Hopefully find it once they know what it is. Go after it. Do whatever it takes to be your version of free. I just want to ask, where can people find you?
So Instagram, keen.ca, keen.ca. That's my men's empowerment project.
Mm-hmm.
People can follow, see the videos, see what they're doing, join the club. It's pretty much non-profit project, because I do have other business. So this is something I'm doing not for the sake of money, but for the sake of community.
Mm-hmm.
So all the membership costs for the gym, for our gathering events, for just the membership, it all goes towards the rent and coach salary of the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So you can check and see more information online on that.
This was a very fascinating sit down, ups and downs, but it was very profound. And I want to thank you for your time, man. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in.
I appreciate it. Thank you, my man.